I'm Kathy. I work here at GRIP at the digital production department, but I'm also a baker and a lover of food. And I want to thank you for letting me muse publicly about something that's fascinated me for quite some time, and that's the relationship between color and food. We know that taste and smell are very closely linked, but what's the relationship between what we see and how we perceive food, how we enjoy food, how we desire food even? So before I proceed, I just want to issue a little bit of a warning. In the next 6 minutes or so, you're going to become very hungry. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming up. So, but the good news is, for those of you who know me, know there is a remedy to that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Without further ado, I'm going to look at it from a perspective of nature versus science. Nature versus culture. Nature and science being kind of similar. So, naturally speaking, when we think of nature, we think of colors appearing in nature and then colors not appearing in nature, like fluorescent blue. This is really a thing, a fluorescent blue jello. You can purchase it. Don't know if you want to eat it, but and there's a reason why blue seems so weird to eat. It's just not a color that's naturally appearing in nature very often anyway. And in fact, it's associated with things like mold. But we do fun and funky things like make our ketchup purple because we like to do it. It's fun. It's almost a rebellion against what is natural. No, we won't have our ketchup red. It shall be purple. You know the kids love that, right? And nowhere is this more evident than when we look at an array of candy like this. My favorite one being the gummy fried eggs. You know, I'd love to be the person that comes up with these ideas. That's just really creative. So eating this food is fun. It's entertainment. It wouldn't be as fun if it didn't have the color that it does. And we see that in our celebrations, in our birthdays, our weddings, where, you know, if there was no color in these cakes, it just wouldn't be as fun to eat. It wouldn't be the mark of a celebration without the absurd rainbow that you see here. Some of us would say that that makes it more fun. Other ones would say that without the food color, it's slightly more delicious. But there is obviously a relationship. So what does science have to say? Well, science has actually quite a bit to say about how we perceive color and what that tells us about the food we're about to eat. Certainly red is a color that invokes passion, lust, love, all of which I feel looking at this steak. Very rare. Beautiful thing, beautiful thing. But, you know, red's a very powerful marketing tool as well, and if you look at red velvet cake, actually, I mean, it came about back in the Depression era, but it was actually popularized in households. Gotta love the cake of a wife time, for those of you who can't see it. It was popularized in households by a food color company, Adams, who wanted to sell more red food color, which is one of the ingredients in red velvet cake. So they handed out recipe cards, and the rest is history. Still very popular to this day. Black, of course, the color of death, the color of burnt toast. Not that many things really appearing in nature that are edible, that are tasty, that are black. There's just a few things. I struggled to put this slide together, to be honest. So yeah, black's kind of a no-go zone, typically. We know that reds, we know that oranges, yellows, bright colors tell us that there's nourishment ahead, right? Beta-carotenes, vitamin C, chlorophyll, that kind of thing. So we definitely feel the urge to eat carrots that look like that, brightly colored food. And there's a reason. Culturally speaking, we see colors used in a variety of ways, and in my opinion, no one does it better than the Japanese and sushi. I mean, that is some edible art, and the aptly named rainbow roll, as you'd have it. So none of this is accidental. They absolutely do this on purpose, and it's to invoke a certain feeling before you actually put the sushi in your mouth. Traditional Chinese medicine also tells us that there's a very close relationship between color and body function, and not only that, but also season. So winter coming up, for example, traditional Chinese medicine would tell us to eat more black food, which apparently is better for our kidneys. In spring, it's green food, better for your liver. So there's an association of what you ought to be eating and what time of year it is. And for traditional Chinese medicine, or for those who practice it anyway, that that harmony, achieving that harmony with nature is completely critical to having a balance in life. So think about that the next time you have a pint of green beer. And of course, culturally, we see right around March the explosion of green, edible things, quite pushing the limit, if you ask me, of food color and what is actually edible. But not to be outdone by the explosion of color that comes soon after, and we're talking, of course, about Easter, because, you know, coloring those eggs is, I mean, that's part of the tradition. All right, so what does this all mean? What does this all mean? We see that there's a relationship. We see that green beer is kind of weird and blue milk is definitely bad. But what is the relationship here? Well, I'd like to propose that it's about expectations. So here we have a pizza box. It's actually a cake. That's dedication for you. Expectations. So it's like when you go to take that glass of soda, or you think it's soda, but it's juice, and you drink it, and it doesn't taste good, because you expected it to be soda. Expectations matter. What you see, this is all dessert, by the way. It looks like a sandwich and French fries. These are donuts and cake. What you see is telling you what you're about to experience. It's the beginning of your experience with the food. It's not just eating, it's experiencing the food. So, we talked about expectations, and I know I said some earlier. There are homemade, colorful tea cakes available at break time. Enjoy, and thank you very much.